Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome to another lesson of learning Japanese. We're going to be doing another anime line of the day in this video, and the show that we're going to cover is the anime New Game. So we're going to be taking a line from the 6th episode of this show, and the line that we are going to cover is lending and borrowing money between friends is what leads to ruined friendships. So here's a pretty nifty line that you can use for some friend that you don't know too well who asks you for money and you want to refuse politely or something along those lines. So of course, before we get into the breakdown, let's see how this line is actually uttered in the actual episode.
この間初お給料が入ったんだ。貸しといてあげようか。友達同士の貸し借りは友情の破綻の原因なんだよ。
Okay, so we should notice here that there is actually a line before the line that I presented already to kind of set up an exposition or a setting to get an idea of what's going on here. And that first line is going to be この間初お給料が入ったんだ。貸しといてあげようか。And so this line right here is going to translate to basically, I just happened to get my first paycheck the other day. Shall I lend you some money? So we see here that the situation is actually a friend offering us some money, and we're gonna say this line, lending and borrowing money between friends is what leads to ruined friendships, is to refuse someone else's offer. So of course that is also a possibility. If you want to use this line, you can politely reject somebody's offer to lend you money. So I brought up that scenario of denying somebody asking for money because I guess I'm inherently selfish and I can only think about myself, even though I already knew the setting of this line before we went into it. So yeah. So after our little setup line here, we're going to move on to the second line, which is the one that we're going to focus on. And so what we have is in Japanese, 友達同士の貸し借りは友情の破綻の原因なんだよ. And so, of course, this line is going to translate to, no, lending and borrowing money between friends is what leads to ruined friendships. So first up, we see that we just have the simple utterance of and this is not actually going to translate to no. Literally, what this will translate to is kind of just good or fine. So she's saying that she's fine without borrowing the money. So we just kind of just naturalize that to a little stuttering no. Right after that, we move into the actual main sentence here, and we have Tomodachidoushi. Tomodachi is of course going to translate to friend. Doshi is going to be a kind of suffix added onto that to kind of mean fellow or mutual. So basically among friends or between friends basically is what this is conveying. We have the particle no here to instigate a noun of a noun modification. Then we have the word kashikari. This is another vocabulary word of sorts. It's going to translate to lending and borrowing. So this noun of a noun modification here going on, Tomodachidoshi no kashikari, is going to be our topic here. That's why we're going to mark it with the particle wa right after. And so that's literally going to translate to borrowing and lending between friends is blank. And now we're going to go into that blank with the first word after that, which is usual. Usual is another vocabulary word that's just going to translate to friendship, basically. And once again, we have another noun of a noun modification. Usual is going to be the first noun. The second noun is going to be hatan. And this is going to translate to failure or bankruptcy. And this is going to complete this noun of a noun modification, but it's going to be a nested noun of a noun modification because we're starting another one with another no particle. And so usual no hatan is going to be the first noun in this second noun of a noun modification, and the second noun in this second noun of a noun modification is going to be genin. And this is going to translate to origin or cause or source. And so we have our full kind of double noun of a noun modification here. It's going to be yuujyou no hatan no genin, and that's going to be basically the source of friendship's failure, or the source of failed friendships, basically. And so that's actually going to be our last like special word in this sentence. Right after that, we just have the nan, which is basically just emphasis. Then we have the copula da to end the sentence, and then we have the sentence ending particle yo to kind of add a explanation or explanatory nuance to the whole sentence. And so that's actually going to complete the whole line right there. It's pretty simple. This sentence just consists of two noun of a noun modifications, the common wa sentence structure, and then another noun of a noun modification actually. So three noun of a noun modifications and a simple wa sentence structure. That's a really simple line. It looks long because it's so stacked, but if you know the basic grammar structures, which are pretty simple in and of themselves, and we added annotations to the videos that we did on those, so if that's unclear you can click on those. But yeah, this is a pretty simple line. Let's repeat it once again. 友達同士の貸し借りは友情の破綻の原因なんだよ。
この間初お給料が入ったんだ。 貸しといてあげようか。友達同士の貸し借りは友情の破綻の原因なんだよ。
And this is going to translate to, no, lending and borrowing money between friends is what leads to ruined friendships. If we wanted to translate the Japanese like really literally, we could say borrowing and lending money between friends is the source of failed friendship, something along those lines. But our naturalized sentence is, well, a bit more naturalized, in my opinion at least. And so yeah, that's about going to wrap up this anime line of the day. Hopefully you got it through everything fine. You now have another line that is added to your line vocabulary, I guess, that you can use when ever the time comes that you actually need to use a line like this. So as usual now, we're going to include the short line that is said right after this one that we evaluated.
随分と難しいことを。
So try to translate that yourself. You have the context pretty much from the line that we did cover. Post your translation in the comments, see how well it does with other people's and the one that we provide. So with that, this has been another anime line of the day using the 6th episode of the anime series New Game. Stay tuned for the next one.